Sometimes the most useful stops on a road trip aren't the ones you planned. After leaving the Florida citrus centers, we finally got back on track with our itinerary and crossed the state line into Georgia. We weren't chasing ghost towns or historic ruins this time. We were headed for something much simpler, a welcome center. Now that might not sound exciting, but if you've traveled with us for any length of time, you already know we have a weakness for brochures, maps, visitor guides, and anything that helps us plan future adventures. What we found wasn't exactly what we expected, and somehow that ended up teaching us something about travel itself. Welcome centers are one of those roadside institutions most people drive past without a second thought. Their purpose is simple: welcome travelers, introduce them to the state, and encourage exploration. Long before smartphones could instantly answer every travel question, welcome centers were often the first stop for visitors crossing a state line. Travelers would grab maps, ask questions, and discover attractions they never knew existed. In many ways, they became gateways, not just to a state, but to the stories waiting inside it. For road trippers, they're still valuable today, not because they have all the answers, but because they often point you toward places you never would have found otherwise. Over time, welcome centers evolved from simple information desks into tourism hubs. States began showcasing regional attractions, local history, natural wonders, and hidden destinations. Some became attractions in their own right. Others remained practical roadside stops designed to help travelers stretch their legs and gather information before continuing down the highway. We arrived hoping for a little bit of both. Maybe some unique souvenirs, maybe a few unexpected discoveries, maybe even a magnet for the collection. As it turned out, Georgia had other plans. The Georgia Welcome Center wasn't bad. It just wasn't memorable. No unique magnet, no state doll pin, no hidden exhibit that made us stop and stare. Just a fairly straightforward welcome center doing exactly what it was designed to do. And honestly, that was okay. Because while the building itself didn't leave much of an impression, the brochure racks absolutely did. Before we knew it, our arms were full. Brochures for historic towns, brochures for parks, brochures for museums, brochures for places we'd never heard of 5 minutes earlier. If you've ever wondered how future travel-made personal adventures get planned, this is part of the answer. A lot of the future road trips begin with a random brochure grabbed somewhere along the way. The Welcome Center itself was clean, comfortable, and easy to navigate. The familiar rows of travel guides lined the walls. Maps covered display racks. Visitors drifted in and out, stretching their legs after long hours on the interstate. There wasn't much history being presented. No dramatic exhibits. No larger-than-life roadside attraction. Just a quiet place serving travelers exactly as intended. Meanwhile, Dusty and I were doing what we do best, digging through brochure racks like treasure hunters. Every rack became a possibility, a future weekend trip, a future video, a future story, and that's something I've come to appreciate about travel. Sometimes discovery doesn't happen at the destination. Sometimes it happens while planning the next one. Then came our next stop, a place advertised as Magnolia Plantation. If you've ever visited the Florida Citrus Centers, imagine someone trying to create Georgia's version of that experience. At least that's what we hoped. Unfortunately, reality didn't quite match the expectation. Instead of local charm, regional history, or interesting products tied to the area's culture, we found ourselves wandering through rows of novelty toys, souvenir clutter, and overpriced snacks. There were plenty of nuts, lots of candy, plenty of things designed to separate travelers from their money, but very little that actually helped us connect with Georgia, and that's where the disappointment came from. It wasn't that the place was terrible, it just felt disconnected from the story of the region around it. The contrast between those two stops ended up being surprisingly interesting. The Welcome Center wasn't particularly exciting, but it inspired future exploration. The Plantation stop was designed to be exciting, yet left us feeling disconnected. One offered possibility, the other offered merchandise. And for travelers like us, possibility wins every time. Because the places we remember most aren't always the ones trying hardest to get our attention. They're the ones that spark curiosity. Travel has a funny way of teaching lessons when you least expect it. Some stops become favorite memories. Some become cautionary tales. Some simply remind you what matters to you as a traveler. For us, that day reinforced something we've learned over and over again. We're not really looking for souvenirs. We're looking for stories. We're looking for places that help us understand a region a little better than we did before. And sometimes a rack full of brochures can be more valuable than an entire building full of gift shop merchandise. If you've ever stumbled across a surprising roadside stop, or maybe one that didn't quite live up to the hype, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear about the places that surprised you, for better or worse. And if you enjoy exploring hidden history, overlooked places, and the strange little stops that make road trips memorable, be sure to subscribe and follow along. At the beginning of this journey, we stopped hoping to find something memorable. Instead, we found something useful. A stack of brochures, a handful of future adventures, and a reminder that travel isn't always about the place you're standing in. Sometimes it's about the road that place opens up next. Because the best adventures aren't in the guidebooks. They're personal.